Hey everybody, happy Friday. Happy Feng Shui Friday. This is my favorite part of the week. How is everybody today? I just have been thinking about a few different topics to share with you today, and there's one particular topic that has come up for me a couple of times with a few different conversations and a few different people, and so I decided that we're going to talk today about making your own magic and making your own luck. And of course, I'm talking about that in terms of using your surroundings to do that. Um, I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to jump on if they're coming for the live. I see one person jumping on. That's awesome. If you are here watching the live, I would love for you to say hello and let me know where you're watching from. And if you watch later, if you're watching on the replay, same thing, just pop in and let me know that you're watching the replay, and also tell me where you're watching from. I ask you to do that for two reasons. One, because I'm curious and I want to know who's here. And two, because it helps Facebook kind of bump things up in the algorithm. It makes it look like there's a little bit more activity and a little bit more interest in this particular topic, and so Facebook shows it to more people. So it really helps out me, and it also helps out other people who might be interested in the topic and will see it later. Hi Trania, how are you? It's good to see you from Indiana. Great, thank you for being here. I'm hoping a few other people will jump on live in a few minutes. Um, so I just want to take a moment to take a deep breath. I think we all are kind of in the middle of that crazy Christmas rush or holiday rush. Um, so I just invite you guys to just kind of settle in for a second before we get started. I need it as much as you do. I kind of feel like I'm moving from one thing to the next without really taking a breath in between. It's been like that all week, and so I'm going to try to be more mindful of that this weekend, and I invite you to do that as well. So, yeah, I want to talk today about making your own magic, and this came up for me a couple times this week in conversation with, first of all, somebody who I am in a business group with who, I mean, they literally posted that they were sitting in their house in the dark early one morning with their tree lights on, just quietly looking around and just trying to find some little tiny piece of magic in what has been a hard year and a hard season for a lot of people. And that really rung loudly for me. And of course, I kind of jumped in and gave some tips and advice about what that person might be able to do to help kind of create the magic on her own. And so it came up in that way one time. And then I also got an email from a client, and I'm going to read this email, or at least part of this email. If you guys are jumping on live, if you don't mind letting me know that you're watching and also letting me know where you're watching from, I would love to say hello to you. But I'm going to read you this email, or at least parts of this email, because it's powerful, and I think we all can kind of get into this place. So this person has been a client of mine in the past, and has certainly gotten lots of feng shui advice from me. And this is kind of her saying how she ended up taking some of my advice when she was finding herself in a bit of a slump. Hi Liz, how are you doing? I hope you're warmer than we are over there in California. I know you're in the northern part, but maybe we're cold here. So part of her message is, I was feeling shitty over the weekend, just general malaise, and I thought about feng shui and what would Kerri do. This makes me happy. It makes me happy that people think that way. And she goes on to talk about how she ended up going to the garden store and picking up some wreaths and other things to kind of decorate the entrance to her house and decorate the kind of, the entryway inside, and that it had really made a big difference from her. Hi Yvette, how are you? It's good to see you. she said, and then in the end, she said, it's funny, I saw the neighbors across the street and they have plenty of beautiful decorations, which I see and I admire every time I come home. And then I thought, what are they looking at across the street? The big brown building. She said, I feel like I was being a bad neighbor, and that's the other reason that I did it, because they are giving me joy with their decorations. So I felt like I needed to reciprocate and bring up the energy between the houses. So I love that she was thinking of me and of Feng Shui when she was kind of in this slump, and that she was able to take some ideas that we've talked about together in the past and put them into action and change her mood, change her attitude, and change and really raise the vibe not only of her space but of the neighborhood, right? So those two conversations went on behind the scenes, and I was thinking about them a lot this week. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about that concept of making your own magic, and share a little bit of some of the tips that I gave to, that I've given to my client in the past and to my colleague that day on the, we were actually messaging back and forth. Hi, Marion, how are you? From Florida. You're definitely warmer than I am today, I'm sure of it. So it's like, I think this year is hard to call in the magic. We are looking at the holiday season as kind of a little bit duller and dimmer than usual because of all the restrictions in place. We can't necessarily get together with our friends and with our family. And even if we do, it feels tempered by all of the things that are going on. And yeah, it just feels, and if you've like lost somebody this past year or have somebody who's been not well because of all the things that are going on, it makes it even harder to like pull it together. And I can say that, you know, from a place of experience because we're looking at the first holiday season without my dad. So, you know, we've gone through some big changes. And when you're in that place, it can be really hard to like pull it together and like find the magic. And you know, it really takes effort, right? It takes a little bit more effort than usual. But what I really want to share is that it's worth the effort. Like and it's not always that much effort. So, you know, sometimes when you can't, that's what I love about Feng Shui. When you can't bring it yourself, like when you can't show up fully 100% yourself, there are some tips and tricks that you can do in your surroundings that can help kind of spark things and can jumpstart the feeling or the mood that you want to create. And so when I was messaging back and forth the other day with the person in my group, I was talking about, you know, do you have any crystals? Can you go grab some of your crystals really quick? Now, crystals are something that aren't something that everybody resonates with, but I definitely do. And I feel like those crystals, you know, I'm talking about, I have one in my pocket. I'll pull one out for you. You know, any kind of like, you know, earth crystals, you know, I can't get in front of the camera. Maybe there's rose quartz, maybe there's selenite, maybe there's black tourmaline. I'm pretty sure that this is chrysocolla, which is good for the throat chakra and for speaking. So that's why I'm carrying it today. But I use crystals quite a bit for me personally. And if there's something that you resonate with, it can be really powerful because they have an energy or a vibe about them. And as you hold them or bring them into your space, they can convey that vibe into your surroundings and help bring that element or those, I guess, qualifications, personality types. I'm not coming up with the right word, but you know what I mean. Like you can have those qualities come out within you just by having the crystals in your vicinity. And so I love crystals. I also love plants. I think that they are a great way to kind of raise the vibe, bring life and vitality into your space. So if you're really feeling like, you know, things are kind of dull and dim, you know, bring in a vase of flowers or bring in, you know, a fresh plant and see how that changes your vibe. And another thing that I suggested to this person was there were two things. Aromatherapy. It's another one of my passions to diffuse essential oils through the space, or even to use herbs and fruits and kind of diffuse the sense of those things through the space. It's not just the scent that's uplifting. It's like a literal scientific process where, as you absorb these oils through your skin or breathe them in through your nose, that it makes chemical changes within your body and can help you release serotonin and other mood lifting chemicals into your body. So if you use them the right way, they can really help change your vibe and really make you feel a little bit more energized and feel a little bit more magical. And then the other thing that I would say is music. Turn on some music, like really change the vibe in your space. If you are, listening to the news all day, every day, turn that off for a little while and put some music on, and it can really change your mood. And you can select from your musical selection based on what you need at the moment. I've been through this, and I've shared this story in the past about how, when my kids were super little, even though I love Feng Shui and I had practiced Feng Shui for years before they were born, and I used Feng Shui incredibly in their environments when they were born, I ended up kind of removing it from the main part of our house. Mostly, number one, because I was focused on them and I didn't have the time and the energy to put into it. Number two, with little kids and toddlers running around, a lot of the things that I would put in place, they would kind of disassemble and take down. And so it was kind of frustrating to do that. And so there were a few years where I kind of stepped away a little bit from my own practice of having these things that I love and that add energy and that shift the energy of the space for me and help shift my energy. I kind of had eliminated a lot of that from our space. And it hit hard. Like it was probably a couple of years that I did this, and all of a sudden I realized I wasn't very happy. I was not very happy, was not very fulfilled in my role as mother, and that I had lost the magic, like literally lost the magic in life. And it was at that point that I realized I need to add this stuff back in. This stuff was really making a difference for me and for how I feel, and I need to take back that place and add back in what's important to me, as well as making sure that everybody else has what they need. And so it's been really powerful for me in my life to bring these elements, these enhancements in, and really pay attention to my surroundings and make sure that I'm aware of the things that feel magical to me or that bring a little bit of magic in, and even a little bit of luck in, right? Bringing that feeling of abundance and luck and energy and possibility into your space is really powerful in shifting how the space feels, but in very subtly shifting how you feel in a positive way for the better. I would love to hear in the comments for anybody who's watching if that resonates for anybody here. And if you're popping on and you have, if you want to say, let me know where you're watching from. I would love to see who's here. But yeah, let me know if this is resonating with any of you, or if any of you are having a tough time this season and would like some ideas for kind of jump starting your space. I'd also love to know if there's something that's magical to you, like what's your go-to. Some of the other things that I use are, I love incense, and I actually have some burning right now. That's something that it's a scent that it's almost like an automatic thing. Like as soon as I light the incense, it like puts me in another place. It relaxes me and calms me. Trinia says, hug the kids. It's a never-ending battle of the spaces. It's true. It's really true. And I think I started small at the time when I started to add things back in. I kind of created a little altar that was maybe not so reachable for young little hands. I know yours are a little bit older. But as they got older, I also asked them, it was able to kind of put some rules in place, and they were able to follow them a little bit better. And the other thing I did was I kind of helped them, like maybe let them add a few things to the space, or create something similar in their own personal rooms, so that they kind of started to get the possibility of it. Something else that I love that's in my space and that I had taken down for a while was my water fountain. I just love the sound of trickling water, running water, and I love the way it looks. It's really a beautiful. Oops, excuse me. Here comes the cat. That was Taco. I love the sound of running water. It's very soothing to me. It's very relaxing and calming. And so adding that in was really, really kind of brought the magic back. And not only, I wouldn't even call that magic. For me, that was just adding in that zen that I needed, a little tiny sliver of zen in my life at that time. Yvette says, continually trying to declutter and organize. Yeah, that can be a hard part, right? So, yeah, and I think that I can totally resonate with that because especially in the last couple of months, it feels like there's been a lot more clutter and a lot more activity in the house because everybody's here and we're not going anywhere and nobody's leaving for school. And so there aren't really those moments to really like clean and put everything where it belongs, because as I'm doing that in one room, somebody else is undoing it in another room. But it has, I think one of the things you could think about is whether or not it's worth your time and efforts. Like if there's things that you're constantly putting back, think about some of those things and whether or not it's really serving you to spend your time caring for that stuff, or whether or not you could possibly let it go and then not have it to declutter or to move or to put back where it belongs. That doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but Trinia says that you have water fountains. Candles are magical to you, but you can't have them with the munchkins. So Trinia, this might work for you. I had that too when mine were little. And I also have pets. I have the cat. You just saw her walk across. Sometimes I'm a little hesitant to put candles on because I'm afraid the cat will knock it over. But I love those little twinkly white lights, and we haven't put our tree up. We're going to be doing that this weekend. But I love it in the Christmas season when the lights are on the tree, and I actually carry that throughout the year. So I will put some twinkling lights on my mantle all year round. Usually at night, this silk bamboo plant behind me, I will turn on some twinkling lights, and it will really especially at night when you turn everything down and have the twinkling lights going on, it really feels kind of romantic and kind of quieter and calmer, and it really shifts the vibe from that crazy hectic getting everybody out the door, getting dinner ready, all that stuff, into okay, now that it's time to settle down and chill. So see if that works for you. Yvette says, how long should I burn a Palo Santo stick? Mine burn out fairly quickly. Yeah, I've actually just started using Palo Santo a little bit more often, and I do find it frustrating because it doesn't stay lit very long. And it's interesting because I'm going to just take a sip of water. When I'm energy clearing my space, which is what I use. Sometimes I use a sage stick and smudge with that, and sometimes I use Palo Santo, which is more of a piece, it looks like a piece of wood. In my experience with sage, often one of my clues that the energy is thicker or heavier or more stuck is that the sage burns out. It like almost like muffles it, and the energy is so thick that it puts out the flame. And so I noticed that Palo Santo seems to be a little bit more sensitive to that, and I'm honestly really just starting to play with Palo Santo more regularly, and so I'm not quite sure whether it's the same thing going on or whether it just is harder to keep lit. But think about that and pay attention to that, because it could be a sign that you need to do some more intense energy clearing before you do the smudging, and that might help. And the other thing is that, to just keep lighting it and keep lighting it and keep lighting it until you're sure that it's done the work and has really cleared that area. Like use your intuition and your senses to know if that space that you're burning the Palo Santo in feels better or not. So I would keep lighting it if you need to until you feel like you've reached that point where it feels better and it's done its work. And it may be a few more times than usual because the Palo Santo is harder to burn. But I honestly, I don't let it, sometimes I'll just light even a little couple sage leaves or the Palo Santo stick just for a couple of minutes. I'll just light it and let it burn out naturally on its own. So if you feel like, that's what I do, if I feel like it hasn't cleaned the space or hasn't been going long enough, I'll just light it again and keep doing that until I feel like it's done its work. So it's kind of I'm pushing the answer back on you, Yvette, to kind of use your own intuition and senses to notice whether it feels better or not. And when it does, then definitely you can trust that your work is done with the Palo Santo. Trainia says that you have a 3-year-old and an 11-year-old. The 11-year-old wants her space to be supportive, but the little one is a Tasmanian devil still. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. A lot of days, 273 days all day with the kids. It's so hard. Yes. And so, I think for you, it's even more important to create those little pockets of like, now it's time to quiet down. What are the signals that you can put in place that now we're all settling down, now we're all relaxing? We kind of have this nightly ritual where we eat dinner, clean up the kitchen, and then relax, and the lights get dimmed and the twinkling lights go on. Usually the TV's on too, but it's definitely this much lower energy space. And I don't mean that in like a negative way. It's like a calmer space. It's like meant to be like relaxing. Hi, Angela. How are you? It's good to have you here. So yeah, it's really definitely a powerful thing. Like what I want you to get from this, and what I hope, what I'm glad that the client that emailed me said was, she's obviously been listening and she got it, that, rather than being in that state of, ugh, I can't find the magic in my life, she was able to go and empower herself and use her surroundings to switch that up to some degree. And, hopefully the tips that I gave to my other friend, via Messenger about, the crystals and the essential oils and music and all of those things, hopefully though within those tips and tools, she was able to, again, maybe bring a little bit of brightness into her day and find the spark that helped her. And that's what I love about Feng Shui, is that it is this empowering tool that you can use, that if you're paying attention and you notice, I don't feel good, I don't feel energized, I'm in a funk, I'm kind of tired all the time, I'm anxious all the time, whatever it is, it's not just you, it could be your surroundings, and there could be some simple shifts and adjustments that you can make within the space itself that actually have some really positive rippling effects on you and how you feel, and change the outcome of the rest of your day. So keep that in mind. I'm here for a little bit longer. If you guys have a specific question that you would like to ask about your feng shui or about energy clearing or some challenging room that you have, go ahead and place it in the comments. I would love to hear that. While I'm waiting to see if anybody puts up any questions, I want to let you know that next Wednesday on December 16th, I'm running a free webinar. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Using Your Home as a Vision Board for Manifesting. And so one of the powerful ways that I practice with Feng Shui is to place enhancements around my home that kind of make it like a 3-dimensional living vision board for what I want to call in and create in my life. And so I'm teaching a webinar on that, and it's 100% free. I want you to come. I keep getting so many ideas. I keep adding slides into it. But it's probably going to be about 60 to 90 minutes long, and I'm going to share some really fun things with you. So let me see if I can, I'll place the link in the comments. Let me see if I can do that from my phone, so that you guys can register for that if you'd like to. There's also, it is going to be recorded. So if for some reason you can't make it, let's see, then you'll still get the recording in your inbox. So let me go see if I can find this and put it into these comments. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oops, I just lost my own comments. Okay, I'll do that after. Yvette asks about thoughts on this big cosmic conjunction this month. So I've done a little bit of reading about this, and actually I've kind of procrastinated on because I've been so focused on the webinar. But from what I understand is that somewhere between the 14th and the 21st of December, December 21st being the winter solstice, when it's really kind of powerful time of, in general, just kind of cleansing and clearing and welcoming in the new. But anyway, it's a little bit more powerful this year because of some astrological conjunctions that are happening in the sky. There is, I think it's Saturn and Jupiter, I could be wrong, are kind of merging in the skies over that time frame. And it's, in astrological terms, we are switching, many people are saying that we're switching from the Piscean age to the age of Aquarius, which is about more community and coming together, and rather than fighting each other, and rather than all the rules and other things that have been going on. And so there's a big transition and change happening astrologically. And it's kind of it's a powerful time anyway. But I think that this year, because of this conjunction that's happening in the sky, it is even more powerful. And I like to use these opportunities to do a little bit of personal clearing, like a personal clearing, and also planning, or like dreaming about what I want in the coming age, like what I want to carry forward in the next 6 months, 12 months, otherwise. I do a lot of that around the new year anyway. It's on a physical level and an emotional and energetic level. So it could be, I'll spend some time in the next couple of weeks clearing out any clutter and releasing things that I don't want to carry with me into the next year. I will spend some time kind of looking at my life and my intentions for each part of my life, and reflecting on what worked and what I want more of or less of. And I will kind of reset all of my Feng Shui cures and really put things in place that will support me energetically within my surroundings to help me manifest moving forward. And some of that I'll talk a little bit more about in that webinar next week. I'm also putting together a special package this month for one-on-one work, where I'm working with people specifically on this, like tapping into this powerful time of the new year, especially this year, when there's this big energetic transition happening in the skies that support. It's almost like this portal opens up and this supportive energy comes through that shines a light on what you want to release and what you want to carry forward. And you can tap into that energy and help it propel you forward towards what you want. And so I'll have a lot more thoughts on this coming up in the next couple of weeks. Yvette, like I said, I've really been focused on the webinar and getting everything ready for that, and haven't really been doing my own personal research, which I would normally be pretty up to date. There's a few different astrologers that I follow, and I kind of usually make a plan for myself. But I do know that somewhere between the 14th and the 21st is an extra powerful portal that opens up, where it's a good time to just simply be releasing things that you don't want to carry with you, whether that's physical things or emotions, or maybe some karma that you want to just leave behind and not carry forward with you, as well as thinking about what it is, what seeds I want to plant for the year and the 10 years moving forward. So that's how I'm using that time frame. And I will talk more about that in coming Feng Shui Fridays, and also you'll probably see it on some of my tip posts and in the webinar. So I hope that helps give you a little bit of information about that. Does anybody else have any questions? Let me see if I can add this again. I'm going to try this. Oh, good. Let's see. Then, oops, listen. You'll still get the recording in your inbox. Okay, so I did post that. So hopefully you can see that pop up in just a second. Yeah, so free webinar on Wednesday night, December 16th. There is a recording. If you cannot make it live, you can receive the recording in your inbox. Make your own magic this season. It's been a tough year. It's definitely, there's probably a lot of negatives with family not coming together and friends not coming together, and maybe facing some losses and some, it could have been family losses, personal, losing people that you love, losing your job, losing other things. There's been just a lot of hardships this year. But I want you to know that you can create your own magic, and you can jumpstart things as they're going. And you can create your own luck using some things in your surroundings. So what resonates with you on that front? Like I said, for me, it's crystals, plants, aromatherapy, my fountain, incense, other things like that. All are things that I add into my space that reset my mood and my energy level. And you can use those things too to reset things for you and to add a little spark to your holiday season and create a little bit of ease and comfort. And what else? Just make it a little more pleasant, and raise the vibe and find your happy place wherever that is in this moment in time. Feng Shui can really help you. What I love about it is that on those days when I can't bring it, like I'm really kind of down and I can't find my own magic, I can look around my space and there are things that remind me of the magic, or that put me back in that place or in that mood. And the other thing I will say is that it takes maintenance. That client that sent me the email and had to go out and did some decorating to her front area. Like, she's done that before. We've worked together for many years on a couple different properties, and she has, put that in place. But seasons change, the cures that we've put in place, or the, enhancements that are there that lift us up, they lose their life, they lose their energy as well. And so it's about maintaining that energy and maintaining that spark in your space. So, I do take time to charge my crystals in the full moon every month. And I do, put some energy into my plants to make sure that they're living and vital. And I go through phases of using the aromatherapy. Sometimes I'm really big on it, and other times I just get busy and lazy and don't use the diffusers as often. But I notice it. Like a couple weeks later, I'll notice and I'll be like, ugh, something's off. What's going on? And it will jumpstart me to start using it again. Al says, what colors are great for the north entrance of a house? So I don't actually use directions. I base everything off of the Feng Shui Western Bagua map, which orients everything from your front door. And the front door, so in that particular school of Feng Shui, the front door often falls in what we call the career or fulfilling work area of your house. And so that, I'm going to give you a few suggestions here. That area, or that particular part of the Bagua map, is ruled by the element of water, which is often supported by blacks and deep dark blues, like watery colored blues. And so if you were to paint your front door, your front entrance black or dark blue, you would be enhancing that energy center of your house, and especially the energy center around work and your career. The other recommendations that I often make around front doors are, some traditional colors are red, which is just, it's very eye-catching. It calls the energy towards your door. Like, it's a color, it's bright, it's visible, it stands out, and it calls energy towards your front door, which means it calls attention towards your front door, which means more energy is coming to your front door. And then a lot of times green is another popular color for a front door, and that's because it's very auspicious and kind of symbolic of money. The color itself is symbolic of money. But I often recommend just picking a color that you absolutely love walking past every day. As you come into your house or as you look at your house, it raises your vibe. It makes you feel really good coming through. It makes you happy to see. It sends out the vibe of happiness and welcomeness. So I sort of break the rules there. I don't encourage the rules so much, because I think you should love what you're walking through, and just simply choosing a color that feels really good to you will raise the vibe of your front door and raise your energy as you pass in and out through it every day. I have a cousin, her favorite color is orange, and she painted her front door orange, and every time we talk about front doors on one of my Feng Shui pages, she's like, I still love my color, it makes me so happy. And that, I mean, just think about that right there. Like, it makes me so happy. Like, when you're looking at something and it gives you that feeling, your vibration is changing, you're, aligning with something totally positive, and you're sending that vibe out into your space, and everything that's passing in and out through that is also getting uplifted in that same way. So it's a really powerful way to shift all the energy that's coming into your space positively. So choose something that you love. That would be my best advice, no matter which direction you're facing, or or even what area of the bagua it's in. There's a little chance that by choosing a certain color, you could be kind of working the elements against each other. But I really think that you don't need to worry about that. I think you're going to counteract it by just loving the fact that you love what you're seeing. Trinia says, how do you suggest dealing with limited color abilities because of renting? That's a great question. Yeah, so sometimes you're limited. You can't paint the door or you can't paint the wall. But you can bring in color in a lot of different ways. So, you can bring in blankets or throws that are that color. You can hang pictures on the wall that bring in that color. You could wear it in your clothes. So you may not be able to change the walls or the door so that you see that every day, but you could certainly, like outside your front door, you could put a planter with your favorite color flowers in front of it, and it would really help in that respect of allowing you to add that spark without without making a permanent change. And the other thing I would say is that, depending on the size of your space and the flexibility of your landlord, painting is one of the least expensive ways to make a really major shift in the energy of your space. And it, depending on how much effort you personally want to put into it, if you want to do it yourself, you can really, in half a day's time, change the whole vibe of a room and change it back when you're ready to go. So if that's an option for you, that's something to consider. It's a low cost way to make a big difference, especially if you're doing the painting yourself. How's that sound? You can put the girls to work, Trinia. So, all right, I'm going to hang out for a couple more minutes. Does anybody else have any other questions? I don't know whether the link showed up here or not, but if it didn't, I will double check. But again, on Wednesday night, December 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be doing a free webinar on using your home as a vision board, and I invite you all to come to that. You do need to register in advance so that you can get the Zoom link. It's all going to take place on Zoom, not on Facebook. And there will be a replay. So I will send out the replay probably within 24 to 48 hours afterwards. And so even if you can't make it live, it might be really useful for you to listen in. It's packed full of information, and I'm actually kind of going through and trying to shave some stuff out because I want to respect everybody's time, especially around the holidays. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. Trinia says they'd love to do that, but we can't paint at all. Yeah, you know what? I also love you're saying put Christmas paper on it in a solid color. There are tons right now of those peel and stick wallpapers, which are another great way to add a little pop of color. You don't necessarily have to do the whole wall, but you could maybe box out a square, or something like that, or a corner. And I'm told they are pretty easy to remove. So keep that as an option in mind too. Maybe a little bit more of an investment than the paint is, but probably a lot easier in terms of effort, personal effort. So that might work too. All right, everybody, thank you very much for being here. I'm so glad that you stopped by. Say hello to me if you haven't already. And I'll be back here next Thursday, or excuse me, next Friday at the same time. So come on by. And hopefully I'll see you Wednesday. And if you need any support one-on-one, just reach out to me. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.